We're about to dive into a really chilling story. It's one of those that shows you how ancient beliefs can sometimes be used to explain or maybe even hide some very modern, very real tragedies.
So, let's go back about a decade. Picture a small, isolated village called Somal, way up in the mountains of Gilgit-Baltistan in Pakistan. This is the kind of place where traditions are incredibly important, and the modern world can feel a million miles away.
And it's in this remote place that we're faced with a terrifying and, to this day, an unsolved question. What on earth happened to a little 4-year-old boy named Ahmed?
The whole mystery kicks off, like they so often do, with a completely normal moment that just suddenly turns into an absolute nightmare.
It was just a simple, everyday task. Little Ahmed, just 4 years old, follows his mom to a spring nearby. She turns away for just a moment to get water, and when she looks back, he's gone. Just vanished. The alarm goes out, and soon, the whole village is frantically searching the forest, but they find nothing. No sign of him at all. And that's when the family makes a really crucial decision. Convinced this was something supernatural, they didn't call the police. They called for faith healers.
And that decision brings a man to their village who promises them an answer that would end up defining this entire tragedy. So, a faith healer who's known as an Amil. He travels all the way from the city of Rawalpindi. His name is Karim Manzoor Haq. He listens to the family story, and then he delivers this absolutely shocking verdict. He tells them, flat out, that Ahmed was taken by a jinni, a type of spirit in Islamic folklore that's believed to be able to mess with the human world. He insisted the police would be totally useless. He was the only one, he said, with the spiritual power to get the boy back. And for this terrified family, he was their only hope.
For a whole week, the Amil performed his rituals. The family, the entire village, they just waited, holding their breath. But after 7 long days, still nothing. No sign of Ahmed. And that's when the healer came back with a devastating blow. He told them his rituals had actually backfired. They had angered the jinni. And this enraged spirit, he declared, had killed their son.
And then, just a few days after that, the unthinkable. Villagers found Ahmed's body, and it was in the exact same forest they had searched top to bottom just a week earlier. The healer's terrible prophecy had come true. For the community, this was all the proof they needed. A supernatural evil had taken this child.
So, as far as the village was concerned, the case was closed. But here's the thing. When you zoom out from this one tragedy, you find that Ahmed's story is, well, it's not unique at all. It's actually part of a deeply disturbing global pattern.
Yeah, all around the world, this intersection of deeply held belief, fear, and violence plays out with terrifying frequency. Just look at this. Earlier this year, in Sukkur, Pakistan, a 16-year-old girl named Rekha Magwar, her family thought she was possessed, so they brought in a healer. Over the course of a 3-day exorcism, the ritual turned into torture, and Rekha was killed. Not by a jinn, she was killed by the healer. Or go back to 2016 in Umarkot, another case, this time an 8-year-old girl. Same story, suspected of being possessed. During the exorcism, the healer allegedly shoved her face into a fire to drive the spirit out, and she was horrifically burned. And this isn't just happening in one country. In 2023, a 13-year-old in India had a burning object forced into her mouth. 2021, a young girl in Sri Lanka was beaten to death by healers. 2015, an adult woman in Egypt was tortured to death because she was suspected of being possessed. The pattern is it's the same. Fear leads to a healer, and the cure ends up being the very thing that kills them. So all of these cases, they force us to ask a really difficult question. What is really going on here? We have to look at this very tense line between genuine belief and, well, cynical exploitation.
On one side, you have the claim, right? Jinn possession, supernatural attacks, curses. But on the other side, you've got these far more down-to-earth explanations. What people call possession could often just be a symptom of a misunderstood mental illness. A so-called supernatural attack could be a convenient cover for a very human crime. And this belief in magic can be a powerful tool to exploit people who are desperate and vulnerable.
I mean, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often is a recognized, diagnosable medical condition mistaken for something else, something from another world?
Let's just take one quick example, sleep paralysis. It's a terrifying experience for sure, but it's a completely natural state where your brain wakes up before your body does. So you're awake, you're aware, but you can't move a muscle, and you often have these incredibly vivid, scary hallucinations. Now, just imagine going through that without any scientific context for it. It's really easy to see how you could believe you're being attacked or held down by a jinn or some other kind of evil spirit.
And thinking about this brings us all the way back to where we started, back to that forest in Gilgit-Baltistan and back to little Ahmed. Because you see, while the supernatural story gave the village an explanation they could live with, the physical evidence on Ahmed's body tells a totally different and frankly, much more disturbing story. When his body was finally found, the injuries, they were horrific. Both of his hands had been deliberately cut off. He had these deep, violent wounds on his face and on his legs. This wasn't just a disappearance, this was a brutal, brutal murder.
So, in the midst of all these stories and all these theories, there is only one thing we know for sure. One fact remains: a 4-year-old boy is dead.
Which leaves us with the ultimate chilling question. Was Ahmed really the victim of an angry jinn? Or is it possible that a human being committed this monstrous crime and is still, to this day, walking around free, protected by an alibi made of pure superstition?